You can get it. Marvelous.
Yo, what's good? Welcome back to the channel, y'all. And look, in today's video we're gonna be going over a popular East tier list that was just posted a couple days ago on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. This is in Japanese, but so let's go ahead and translate this. Before we even start, I need to show you guys this. The only reason why I'm covering this is because this has over 200,000 views since this was published September 23rd. So I don't know who this guy is in particular, but it seems like this guy knows what he's talking about. He's popular in the East. So we're going to go over his deck list, and then we're actually going to go straight into my own tier list maker. And we're going to go over every single leader that is listed. We are only going to go over probably up to 4 because there's no way I'm covering all these other decks down here. And actually we'll probably make a change for this deck right here for ST14 Luffy. I feel like this might be a little bit higher, but nonetheless we're going to be covering all the decks from 1 to 4. So this should be a really shiesty ass tier list that we're going to make. And if I feel like there should be some changes based off the OP09 meta, I will be also making that change. But as you guys can see, he has the Doffy, Purple Luffy tier 1. He has Shanks, RP Luffy, Bonnie, Rob Lucci, Blackbeard, and BY Luffy. Of course, the greatest deck of all time. I mean, fact, not an opinion. Facts. Definitely can't go wrong with this Black White Luffy, because he just be cooking everywhere we're going. I mean, when you see Black and Yellow Luffy, you already know he's getting the baddest hoes. Fact, not an opinion. Yeah, boy. So nonetheless, let's go ahead and continue. We have the Nami here, very decent deck. We have the Reiju. Actually, instead of me just going over every single one of these decks, let's actually open up our own tier maker here. If you guys do want to follow this guy on Twitter for OP09 updates or tier lists, whatever the case may be, I'll have his Twitter handle in the description as well. So let's go ahead and just go straight to our initial tier list, gang. Let's get it. So welcome back. You guys already know what we're about to get into right now.
Oh shit, here we go again.
This list that I'm going to be showing you guys, the main reason why we're even doing this tier list is just to let you guys know what decks you should probably invest in right now. Because if you guys did not know, October is about to come here next week, and then after that we only got 2 more months till OP09 actually hits us. So with that being said, it's time to actually see what deck you should be investing in for the OP09 meta. The way I really like looking at things is that I want a deck that's actually good in OP08 and OP09, such as Black and Yellow Luffy. Black and Yellow Luffy is still pretty good in OP09. It's just a little harder to pilot it because of the Blackbeard matchup. But besides that, you guys really just want to be looking at these decks right now and what's actually good in our current OP08 meta that you can actually bring into OP09 if you are not playing one of these newer leaders. Let's go ahead and go over this tier list. If there's any deck that I feel like should not be here, I will be moving it accordingly. But for the most part, everything looks properly properly done here. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. First deck we have is Blue Doffy with the Warlord support and also some of the support it did get in OP09. Blue Doffy is the best deck of the format. I mean, if you guys look at a lot of the meta breakdowns in the East, this deck is like having, like, let's say for instance, if there's a top 16, 10 of the decks are Blue Doffy. So Blue Doffy is just really running rampant, just being able to spam the board, having the extra blocker in the new bow in the structure deck, having Gravity Blade and Red Rock. Blue Doffy is just running havoc right now. The next deck we have right here is Purple Luffy. I feel like Purple Luffy should not be here. When you look at a lot of the meta breakdowns, the next deck that's behind Blue Doffy is Red Shanks. Red Shanks, the brand new leader from OP09, is very strong. Just having that leader effect to drop down opponent's attack by 1,000 pretty much turns off every 5,000 attacking monster that attacks into Shanks, which is very good. You pretty much just skip an attack at that point, and it makes the opponent use more Dawn while attacking just because you have that leader ability in your back pocket. So very strong. And then on top of that, the Shanks ability is you know, it's pretty good, but what's really broken is all the Shanks supports that did come out in OP09. I'm not going to really spoil too much, but just know the Shanks support, mainly the Goldie Roger. On top of that, having a 13k beat stick, and if you do end up blocking against that Goldie Roger, you pretty much auto lose the game. Very, very strong card, very, very strong leader, and it is the second best deck in the OP09 meta. So if you guys do want to play Shanks, I advise you to play it on the sim right now and practice it if you guys aren't interested in OP08 meta. The next deck we have right now is probably the best of A1 in my opinion, is Purple Luffy. Purple Luffy just got a huge, both of these decks when it comes to Purple Luffy got a huge boost when it comes to the structure deck with all the new purple cards they ended up getting, like the Usopp, the Luffy Toro, I think that's what it's called, and just a couple other cards from the structure deck. But what really propelled this deck is the support it got in the OP09 set, which is the 9-drop Luffy. I'm not sure if it's 9 or 10-drop Luffy. I think it's the 9-drop Luffy, and also the Sanji as well, on top of all the other decks, on top of all the other purple support we ended up getting in OP08. These two decks are definitely a menace, and the main reason why this deck is very, very strong, because not only you get to use all the broken purple cards, you get to use the brand new Goldie Roger as well. So this deck right here is shiesty. Both of these decks are really, really shiesty. I feel like these are probably the best of tier 1. Okay, this is S tier, which is the best tier. This is tier 1. Okay, I feel like these are the two best decks of tier 1. The next deck we have right now is Bonnie. So apparently a Bonnie had a resurgence in OP09. Right now in OP08 in our meta, you don't really see Bonnie too much because there's so many black decks that just pretty much just fucks everything on their board when it comes to the Cavendish, the Zoro, anything else they end up putting on the board. But in OP09, since the black decks are pretty much not as prevalent, Bonnie is now showing a little bit more popularity. So, you know, with that being said, Jewelry Body, you can't really go wrong. The leader ability is actually correct, pretty much having a built-in Capone effect every single turn, having the best blocker in what's it called, Basil Hawkins, and having the Zoro that attacks 3 times. Very, very strong. I'm not even sure what other new cards they got in OP09, but just know Jewelry Bonnie is finding more popularity in OP09. So if you guys do want to play Jewelry Bonnie right now, it might not be that good, but OP09, since all the black decks are pretty much going to come down another notch, this is a good deck to look into if you guys are interested in playing Jewelry Bonnie. Okay, next deck we have right now is Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci has been, like I said, Rob Lucci's does Rob Lucci things, just like what I said in my OP08 top 10 decks. We've talked so much about Rob Lucci, I feel like there's no reason to talk about Rob Lucci. It's probably the best black deck still till this day that actually plays with the black mechanics, like removing things on the field, just being able to abuse the Brook, the Sabo, the Ice Ages, and also the Jack. Very, very strong. Look, at this point, Rob Lucci is just always going to be a staple in the meta, and there's nothing else I need to talk about. But we can talk about is this brand new Blackbeard leader. Blackbeard is also an A1. It's not in Shiest or tier S because it's just like, I don't know, I feel like this is a skill check type of deck. You actually really need to understand the mechanics and how this deck works to be able to beat it. And I feel like that's the reason why the guy on Twitter put this in tier 1, because I mean, it's almost kind of like a rock paper scissors type of deck. Okay, so, and it also loses the red. It really does lose the red. So that's another reason why this deck is right here, because Shanks really puts Blackbeard in place. Very good deck though. I mean, it turns off damn near 70%. I'll probably say 80% of the decks shown here, but it is a skill check deck and it loses a lot to red. And with that being said, Shanks and RP Luffy pretty much almost dominates Blackbeard. Okay, so very strong deck, but it's not definitely tier S. I thought it was gonna be tier S. It's not gonna be tier S. Next deck we have right now is BY Luffy. I'm not gonna really talk too much about this because you guys already know it's the greatest deck to ever put in existence. I think it's ahead of Vanel. Okay, it is definitely ahead of Vanel, but very combo centric deck. And we actually look at all these other decks, this is still the hardest deck in the game to play. If you guys pretty much make one misplay, you're going to lose the game. In my opinion, this is only for the veteran players or people that actually have a really, really good grasp of what's going on in the game. Very strong deck, and the biggest thing about this deck is that you really have to play this correctly in OP09, especially with all these new supported leaders and new leaders in the game. So, and I also feel like it is at the back of A1. Okay, so this is all the decks at A1 and Shiest. Very good strong deck and leaders. So let's go ahead and go straight out to Brazy. We have Nami. I'm not going to talk about Nami because I don't feel like going to sleep, but it is You know, I talk a lot of shit about Nami, but I can't deny its power. Nami's still a good deck. It's just really boring. Okay, so let's just stop talking about this before I start trying to roast the shit out of it. Ṟiju, like I said, in my top 10 decks that I have on the channel, card at the top. This deck is very strong. When it high rolls, it goes crazy, but when it doesn't high roll and you don't see stage, you pretty much automatically lose. Fairly budget deck. I'm not sure if it got any support in OP09, but at this point it doesn't really need any support from OP09. Just know you need to be a very skilled pilot. In the whole entire game of the One Piece TCG and OCG, the two hardest decks in the game is Ṟiju and Black and Yellow Luffy. Black and Yellow Luffy is harder than Ṟiju, but if you guys are interested in Ṟiju and feel like, you know, really playing things out of the graveyard, Ṟiju might be a deck that, you know, you might find some interest in. So go ahead and try it out if you guys do want to challenge. Next deck, I'm actually surprised that actually fallen from grace. I actually thought this was going to be a tier 1 deck. Everybody in the streets thought this was going to be a tier 1 deck. It's Purple Black Luffy. I'm actually very surprised that it's this low. He put this low, but when you actually look at the power rankings and the meta breakdown, Purple Black Luffy is just not there. I have no clue why. I mean, it has probably two of the most broken colors at the moment in purple and black with all the support. I don't know why this deck is so low and just not showing that much of a, you know, a resurgence of this deck, to be honest with you guys. Let me know below. But Purple Black Luffy, you can't really go wrong. Decent leader effect, and it allows you to play all the broken Straw Hat cards they ended up getting in the OP09 brand new set. Okay, so very strong leader, just not used in. That's the reason why it's in pretty much tier B, tier 2. Next deck we have is Pudding, just being able to spam out all big cost monsters like the 10-drop Kaido, the Luffy, the Lin. I mean, this deck just as a whole is very strong. If they get their fucking turns going and pretty much spam out a 10 drop by their turn 3, if you guys don't have a way to answer it, you will lose the game pretty fast. But like I said, I think this is a coin flip type of deck, to be honest with you guys. I mean, one day you guys might just fuck everybody's bitch with this deck, and then another day you might be on some you know, packed up, you getting smoked type shit, you know what I mean? So Pudding, definitely a decent leader, but it deserves its ranking in the B tier. Next deck we have is the Smoker, and I'm gonna tell you right now, if you don't feel like playing any of these black decks, Smoker is a very good option. I feel like it's a top deck. It did get a boost from the structure deck. It's actually won a lot in the OP09 meta as well. Smoker has been around since OP01, so if you are interested in playing a different black type of deck and it's not Blackbeard or any of these three right here, Blacker is also a very good option, and I feel like this is the proper placement for Smoker. Very shiesty ass deck, very shiesty ass deck. Next deck we have right now are the two yellow decks, and these two yellow decks kind of work the same. They pretty much rely off their life. YGOD of course, but you know, I feel like these are the proper placements. Hanel and Katakuri's both doing pretty decent in OP09, but just to keep it a stack of you guys, if I have to say anything about yellow, I feel like Katakuri might be edging out Enel right now, because Enel just needs more support. I feel like the biggest thing of Enel is that we need some actual searchers in the deck. The whole entire thing about Enel is that there's no searchers. I mean, we do end up getting a brand new search in OP09 where, you know, I think it's like discard 1 card, draw 2 cards or something like that, but we actually need some Sky Pia cards that search out some of the things in the deck for Enel. Okay, that's just my opinion. So if I had to choose between these two decks, I feel like with the structure deck coming out with Katakuri, I feel like Katakuri is better compared to Enel. So that's just my thoughts. Let me know below what you guys think. Next deck we have right now is supposedly the #1 deck the #1 deck in fucking OP08 according to the sim. Ain't no way this is the #1 deck in the OPO. Hey, if you guys want to laugh, just look at the OPO sim ranked tier list, bro. You'll start dying. Trust me. But nonetheless, Zoro is a really good deck. But let's be real. Why are you playing this instead of playing Shanks? I'm not even going to talk about Zoro. Once OP09 comes out, pretty much Shank tanks Zoro's lunch money and Hiyori. Okay, fact, not an opinion. Let's not even talk about this leader right now, because this is just a laugh fest every time I look at this deck now, after looking at the ranked sim statistics. Next deck we have right now is the Bella Betty. Bella Betty actually gets a whole bunch of revolutionary support, and that goes the same for this red Sabo right here. These two decks both get revolutionary support. I think it's in the yellow side, so very strong deck. I feel like these two decks actually become a very viable deck There is a skill ceiling on these two decks as well. You need to be a good pilot. So if you guys are interested in playing any of these two decks, you can't go wrong. You just need to make sure you know your lines and matchups accordingly, okay? But it did end up getting a boost with the OP09 set with all the revolutionary cards. Very good option. And you know, if you guys don't feel like playing any of these other meta decks, these are very good options in the meta. The next deck we have right now is Perona. Like I said, I feel like this is the best sleeper deck of all time. Fact, not an opinion. Fact. Just being able to have a whole bunch of searchers, rest anything for 4 costs or less, and just being able to play Gecko Moria and the Zoro in the same deck is actually crazy. I'm actually a very, very big fan of Perona, just because of all the cards it can use at its disposal. It's a skill ceiling type of deck as well, and I don't even think you need to even use anything from OP09. You could just really just use all the cards from OP06 and 7. I don't even think you use anything from OP08 as well. So very strong option. If you guys do like Perona, keep on using Perona. It's a very strong deck. Next deck we have right here is the 7 Warlords of the Sea Boa, but let's be real, we're not going to talk too much about this deck, because why would you use this deck instead of using Dofi? Use the same exact package, and Dofi is literally a tier 0 deck. I wouldn't say tier 0, but it's the best deck at the moment. It's definitely a S tier deck, so there's really no reason to use this deck. Let's go ahead and use Blue Dofi. I mean, you'll get more mileage out of this deck as well. Next deck we have right here is Blue Buggy. At the start of OP09, Buggy has been showing up. You don't really see Buggy too much, but at this point I feel like Buggy is on the brink of becoming a A1 or Brazy deck. I think it just needs more support. But like I said earlier, if you guys are playing any blue deck, there's no reason to play any of these other blue decks. Just play the Blue Dofi, because it is the best deck in the whole entire meta right now. I do like the way, you know, this Buggy leader does work, but it just needs more support. I actually have no clue why this blue and purple Croc is here. If you guys could tell me, if you guys are in the OP09, please tell me why this deck is actually in, you know, this coal. I mean, did it get a buff to the, you know, the archetype of Crocodile? I'm not really too sure why this is here. Maybe because it can abuse all the broken purple and blue cards, with like the red rock and all the purple cards like Black Maria, the 9-drop Luffy, and so on and so forth. So I'm actually not too sure why this leader is even here, but let me know below why this leader is here. Next deck we have right here is the Foxy. Foxy is always going to be good, because any leader that requires them to attack to get their effect, Foxy pretty much shuts down. So for instance, when Dofi needs to attack, if it's Foxy's turn next turn, he could pretty much lock down Dofi. So very good leader. It didn't get any support in OP09, but it is a purple deck, so it did get a whole bunch of purple support, generic purple support. Very strong deck. And since a lot of these decks that revolve around attacking to get their effects, such as the Katakuri, the Rob Lucci, the fucking Dofi, especially Dofi, I was about to call this Vegapunk, but Foxy is always going to be viable in the meta. The next deck this guy has in his list is Charlotte Linen. I actually have no clue why he put this purple yellow Charlotte Linen deck here. Let me know below why he put this here. I don't think black really got too much new support, and yellow really didn't get any support in OP09, so I have no clue why he put this here. Let me know below. I can't really put this in dog water or anything like that, because I don't know. I'm not going to put anything anywhere if I don't know why you put it there to begin with. So just let me know below what you guys think about this deck. Next deck we have is Calgera. Calgera is a glass cannon type of deck. Very strong deck when it comes to aggroing. It just needs more support. Just not being able to search out the Norland is actually crazy, especially since it's from all Skypiea. Another thing it really just has a hard time with is just having no blockers or no broken triggers from the deck. So Calgera is definitely a very, very strong budget deck, but you know, if this is the only deck you can afford, just keep on playing it. But I feel like this is the proper placement for Calgera at this point in the OP09 meta. And like I said, this is the final OP09 tier list. To be honest with you guys, OP09 has been going on for a couple, I think like a month and a half, so the meta is already figured out, and I feel like Calgera is definitely where it needs to be. Dog water. So I'm gonna tell you right now, when we go to dog water, I usually say dog water are the worst decks, but all these decks are viable, to be honest with you guys. I just listed dog water because I'm not changing my rankings. King, I actually think it's actually probably one of the worst black and purple leaders, but let's be real, why would you play King if you could just play purple Luffy? So, you know, if you guys just like King as a character, you could play it, but if you guys are just looking to win and have a better chance of winning, just play purple Luffy. Gecko, I've always been a fan of Gecko Moria just because it has the delinquent duo effect, erasing all the cards in their hand, especially with the I think it's like a card called Hollow, where it pretty much gets rid of a card out of their hand. I just love the hand rippability out of their opponent's hand, because if you rip the proper cards out of their hand, you can literally just win the game. Just being able to abuse the 8-drop Gecko Moria as well with the Perona, just being able just to empty out their hand is very, very shiesty. I've always liked Gecko Moria, the mechanics, and I don't know if it can probably be in dog water. I could probably put this right here and put this one down here, to be honest with you. I feel like Gecko Moria is probably in cold, not dog water. Next deck we have right here is Blue Ace. Blue Ace, I feel like Blue Yellow Ace is pretty much an undiscovered deck in my opinion. I feel like it still just needs to be in dog water right now, just because nobody's really using it. I think it's good, but like I said, I'm not making these type of tier list just based off feelings on what I think is good. I go off statistics and facts, and the fact right now for BY Ace is that there's really not too many tops or showings for this deck, so I can't really speak too much on this deck at the moment. I also think it's a very good deck. Law, I feel like this is the proper placement as well. It did get a boost in OP08 with all the brand new chopper cards being able to flood the field. I feel like this is still a proper placement for Law. Nothing really changed. Purple, I said purple, black, blue, Rebecca is also not changed. Actually, when I started to think about it, I'm not going to even really break down any of these cards or these leaders here, because all these are kind of mid. You don't really see too many of these topping, to be honest with you guys. So this deserves to be here. Crocodile, it definitely needs to be here. I haven't really seen anybody top with this. Nico Robin is actually very upsetting. I actually thought Nico Robin would actually have a better showing, just because it has all the broken purple and yellow cards, but time and time again, just putting things in the trash kind of helps a lot of these different type of decks out, such as Rob Lucci, BY Luffy, and purple black Luffy as well. So I'm actually surprised at how bad this deck is at the moment, but you know, it is what it is. Every leader out of every set can't be good, so it is what it is. Uta ended up getting some support from OP08 and I think a little bit from OP09, but like I said earlier, I still don't think it's worth running. If you guys do want to play green deck, just play Green Bonnie. That's the same thing with Carrot, just play Green Bonnie. Purple Kaido's a very shiesty purple ass deck, but you know, I just feels like, why would you play purple Kaido? You could just play purple Luffy if you're trying to win. If you guys do like Kaido, this is the best version of purple Kaido. But if you guys are just trying to win, just play purple Luffy. You'll have way more success if you just play purple Luffy. Marco, I feel like Marco should probably be right here. Marco's a very shiesty ass deck. I'm a big fan of this Marco being able to spam out the 4 and 5 cost Marco blocker and the KO capability, and also being able to play the red hair Shanks, being able to have the new Whitebeard card from the structure deck. Marco's a very shiesty ass deck, but you just need to be a very skilled pilot to play it, and that's the reason why a lot of people are playing this deck, because they don't really want to try that hard to really use this deck if they could just use something that's almost as autopilot as like these two decks right here. So I also think Marco, just like Ekamura, is a very strong deck, but it's just not being used right now. Vegapunk, probably one of the best non-attacking leaders in the game. Not gonna talk too much about this. Black Luffy, I feel like take a back seat, because this deck is really only good if it's a black meta, because this pretty much counters everything in the meta, kind of like how our current meta is. You know, we do have a whole bunch of black decks right now, such as black Lucci, BY Luffy, and even fucking Smoker when it comes out. So in order for this deck to be good, we need to be in a black dominated, you know, pretty much meta, and right now we're not. We're pretty much in a pretty diverse. We have red, blue, purple, green, you know, yellow, blue. I mean, we have pretty much almost everything used right now. So since black is not dominated, this is going to take a back seat. Let's leave this right here. Yamato is pretty decent, but let's be real, why would you play this deck? I mean, maybe you do like the double attack, but if you guys do like rushing the board, you could play any of these other decks, to be honest with you. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like this should probably even be lower than what Dog Water is, and we already talked about these two decks. This is the final OP09 tier list. I feel like the meta has been discovered in OP09. I feel like there's really nothing else that really needs to be discovered. Pretty much in a nutshell, Dofi and Shakes is running shit right now. Should there be a ban for Blue Dofi? That's the next question. I'm not sure. Let me know below if anything from Blue Dofi needs to be banned. It is pretty oppressive right now. I mean, when you really look at a lot of the meta reports, if you guys do want to do a meta breakdown, actually, I'm just going to make a meta breakdown showing you guys deck lists later, probably in a week or two. But, you know, if you guys do think something should be banned from Blue Dofi, let me know below, because right now, I don't know. It is pretty dominant. I mean, majority of these tournaments are ran by Blue Dofi. So let me know below if this card or leader or any cards in this particular color should be banned. And yeah, y'all, that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed the final OP09 tier list. I don't see anything changing. They're gonna start announcing OP010 I think probably within a week or two, so we have to look forward to that. But yeah, this is the final tier list for OP09, man. Look, that's all I got. If you enjoyed the video, you guys already know what you need to do. But look, before I go, if you're feeling the vibes, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It all gone.